Welcome to enVista Experts on Demand, your unbiased, informative source for industry news and education. Today, we are joined by Dave Mott, Senior Director of Supply Chain Solutions, on the topic of trends in labor management. How have labor management programs evolved over the years?
What we're seeing is, historically, the early adopters of labor management programs were grocery and food service companies. There was a perception outside of those two industries that labor management programs were kind of a negative thing, that they were used really as a hammer to kind of knock their workforce down, to get more productivity out of each individual worker. It's sort of evolved over the years where companies understand that there's many more positive things you can do with the labor management program. For example, it can increase your predictability in the warehouse. It can not only improve your customer service by making sure you get your orders out on time, but it can also help your workforce in that it gives them certainty to know when their day is going to finish, so that increases morale. The other things that the tools are used for is training and coaching. So it's not just putting a number out there that people have to hit from a productivity perspective, but it also gives them a mechanism for training and coaching their workforce for improvement. Another large advantage of a labor management program is it gives them the ability to put in pay for performance or an incentive program, which is certainly a benefit to the workforce. Another major trend that we're seeing recently is a migration to the cloud. There's a lot of benefits from migrating to the cloud. Probably most importantly is it gives companies a mechanism for a faster time to value. It gives them the ability to more rapidly implement the tool and therefore achieve savings more quickly.
What are some of the key reasons a company will consider cloud versus on-premise LMS?
I would say the primary reason that people consider cloud is the time to value. It gives you a mechanism for implementing the tool faster, and therefore your savings are achieved quicker than they would have been with an on-premise solution. Another primary reason is scalability. If you think of retailers, they can more than double their workforce during the holiday season. Therefore, if you buy an on-premise perpetual license model for labor management, you're paying a large upfront license fee that is priced based on your peak number of users. As you scale back users during the course of the year, a cloud solution, a SaaS solution, enables you to reduce the cost based on the number of users that you currently are operating in your warehouse. The other sort of softer benefit is these types of programs are typically driven by operations folks. And as an operations person, you sort of have to get in line to wait for resources to be available on the IT front. By deploying in the cloud, it reduces the number of IT resources that are necessary to implement your program, and therefore you can implement the program more quickly.
Are you hearing of concerns from IT organizations about deploying solutions in the cloud?
The primary concern we hear is around security. There's a lot of things in the news that talk about data breaches and such, and companies are obviously concerned about protecting their intellectual property. So that's sort of reduced over the years. There's a lot of infrastructure that's been put in place that's proven to be secure, such as Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. So we use those tools to deploy the labor solution. So with the labor management system, we're not obtaining information that would really be interesting to hackers to try to get a hold of. So as this has evolved and more applications are moving to the cloud, we're finding that IT organizations really see that the benefits far outweigh the risk of deploying in the cloud. So we see adoption continuing to increase over the next few years.
Are there any specific economic trends that are impacting this evolution?
I would say the primary trend that's impacting this evolution is the low unemployment rates. They've been trending down for several years, but they're now really approaching historic lows. What that means for companies, it's very difficult to attract and retain talented workers. So with a labor management program, you can implement things such as pay for performance, which enables you to share some of the savings from a productivity program back to your workforce. And it becomes a key competitive differentiator for your company. An additional trend that we're seeing now, but perhaps it's a bit early to fully evaluate, is the recent tax reform. What that's going to do is it's going to free up capital for companies, and they're going to be looking for ways to invest those extra dollars. And a great way to do that is to invest in your workforce and to put tools in place that help make them more productive, but also share some of the gains in those savings back to the workforce.
When evaluating a labor management program, what are the key considerations?
I think the most important thing to remember with labor management, it's more than a software implementation. It's really a people, process, and technology implementation. That's a bit of a cliche that you hear often, but with labor management it really rings very true. We look at technology as really being just the enabler to make sure that you can achieve and sustain the savings that the program should deliver. But the real crux of the program is the people in the process. Number one, you want to make sure that you're putting processes in place that are efficient, and then once you've got that established, put a measure on that process. So the change management aspect is probably the most important because it's what sets the stage for a successful program. It's what ensures that everybody's engaged from top to bottom and everybody understands their role. Ultimately, companies want to research and find a tool that meets their business objectives. And usually a key objective is to get a fast time to value. And probably the best way to do that is to look at a cloud solution that's going to be implemented quickly, it's going to be less complex, and therefore it's going to drive that quick return on investment.
Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for the next episode of enVista Experts on Demand.